few evenings ago, Peter and I have visited one of the residents in our complex. What was meant to be a quick cup of coffee became one of those conversations that stays with you long after you've gone home. We spoke about life, about getting older, about children, about how quickly the years seem to pass. Then, almost without realizing it, we found ourselves talking about childhood. We laughed about climbing onto the bicycles in the morning and disappearing for hours, sometimes the whole day. There was no cell phones, no GPS, and certainly no location sharing. We simply knew we had to be home before sunset. As we shared those memories, something struck me. None of us really missed the bicycles. None of us missed not having technology. What we missed was something much deeper. We missed the feeling of belonging. And it made me wonder, what is the secret to building communities where everyone feels they belong? As our conversation continued, more memories surfaced. We remember knocking on neighbors' doors without making any appointments. Children filled the streets until the streetlights come on. Parents chatting over garden fences while keeping an eye on whichever children happen to be nearby. If you scrape your knee, someone else's mother would fetch a plaster. If you fell off your bicycle, there was always another adult who helped you up before sending you home. And if you got into trouble at school, well, many of us quickly discovered that going home and complain wasn't going to improve the situation. If the principal have given you a hiding, your parents often gave you another one. Not because they enjoy punishment, but because they believe respect for teachers mattered. Today, we've learned a great deal about raising children. Researchers show us healthier and more effective way to teach responsibility, self-control, resilience than physical punishment can do. And I believe that is a positive step forward. But that wasn't really what we remembered. What stayed with us that our parents cared deeply about the people we were becoming. They want us to be honest, responsible, respectful, kind. And every generation wants that for the next. That hasn't changed. One of my happiest memories was being part of the Voortrekkers. We learned practical skills, how to tie knots, how to build a fire, how to cook outdoors, how to navigate, how to solve problems when things didn't go according to plan. Looking back, those lessons weren't really about survival. They were about confidence. We discovered that we could figure things out, that we could rely on one another, that failing wasn't the end of the story. I still smile when I think about making stokbrood over an open fire. Most of us was far too impatient. Instead of slowly turning the dough over the coals, we pushed it straight into the flames. The outside was black burnt bread, and the inside that stayed raw. By any culinary standard, that was a total disaster, and yet it tasted wonderful. Not because the bread was good, but because of the laughter around the fire, the conversations, the friendship, the feeling that we belonged. I realized that many of life's greatest memories are never really about the activity. They are about the people who share it with us. And as I've grown older, something else has become increasingly clear. I've had the privilege of speaking to many people from many different cultures, languages, and backgrounds. The details of our childhood are often different. The foods, the traditions, the celebrations. But underneath those differences, I hear remarkable, similar stories. Parents want their children to be safe, to work hard, to care for others, to become good people. At the time, many of us never realized how much we had in common because our worlds rarely overlapped. Looking back now, I see far more that united us than divided us. And perhaps that is one of the lessons we still need today. It isn't really a story about the past. It isn't a story about politics or nostalgia. It's a story about people. It's about mothers and fathers doing their very best with the knowledge they had, the teachers who believed in us, neighbors who quietly watch over us, communities that help raise us. The world has changed dramatically during my lifetime. I lived through handwritten letters, typewriters, fax machine, the first home computers, the internet, smartphone, social media, and now the wonderful artificial intelligence. And I embrace that progress. Every generation creates tools that the previous generation could hardly imagine. That is part of human progress. But while technology keeps on changing, human nature doesn't. We all still want friendship, purpose, connection, and to be seen, to be valued, to know that we mattered. And perhaps that's why loneliness has become such an important conversation today. Studies consistently show that strong social connections are linked to better physical health, lower rates of depression, sharper thinking as we grow older, and even a longer life. Belonging isn't simply something that feels good. It is something our minds and bodies genuinely need. Perhaps that's why building community is one of the most important things any of us can do. As Peter and I walk home that evening, I realized our conversation had never really been about the bicycles, school, or even growing older. It was about something every human being longs for. A place where we were known. A place where we were valued. A place where we feel we belong. Communities don't become stronger because we all think the same. They become stronger because we choose to care for one another despite our differences. Perhaps that is the real secret. Not waiting for someone else to build a community we wish existed, but becoming the person who helps someone else feeling they belong. Maybe it's learning a neighbor's name, inviting someone for coffee, joining a walking group, volunteering in your community, listening before judging, offering encouragement instead of criticism. Small acts repeated often enough, that is how belonging grows. Because no matter where you came from, no matter which generation you belong to, no matter how much the world changes, people still needs people. And perhaps the greatest gift we can give one another is the feeling that someone else is glad we are here. Thank you for spending this time with me. If today's conversation reminds you of someone who made you feel you belong, why don't you share this episode with them? And if you like to join a community of people choosing to live healthier, richer and a more connected life after 50, I love for you to subscribe to Thrive. Until next time, keep on choosing to thrive. Bye-bye for now.